Today, I want to talk to you about recipes and how to read your recipes and get the most out of them. So, as you can see here, there are so many different ways an author can write, organize, and publish their recipes. And that goes for whether they are blogs, printed cookbooks, magazines, or your grandmother's handwritten recipe cards. So many different ways that you can write them out and get them printed. So my number one tip is to make sure that you are going over the recipe very carefully before you decide you're going to try and make it. So for an example, when I am doing my meal prep, I'm preparing my meals on the weekend, either Saturday or Sunday. So I don't start this process on Saturday or Sunday. I actually start it on Thursday. Thursday is when I'm sitting down and creating my plan. If I'm tracking my nutrition, I'm pre-logging the recipes that I think I want to make them to ensure that it aligns with my current fitness goals. And then I can make appropriate tweaks. And then I'm pulling out those recipes and I'm going to go through them. I'm going to look through my pantry and I'm going to look through my freezer, my refrigerator, and see what ingredients I already have on hand and what are the things that I need to buy. So then I am writing down my grocery list with the amounts of the ingredients that I need. And in my book, The Meal Prep Queen's Cookbook, I wrote down the tools and equipment that's needed for each recipe. Not all recipes have this. So this is where you really want to sit down and look over your recipes prior to getting started to make sure that there's nothing special that you need. Like I said, there's not always a list. In fact, it's pretty rare. So going through the directions to see how you're putting this recipe together ahead of time can ensure that if you do need any tools or equipment, whether you're new and don't have a lot on hand or it's something special, that you have time to go and get that item and be ready to go in the kitchen. The next thing is also looking through the instructions and directions to make sure you understand what the recipe is telling you to do, making sure that if it calls for 4 tablespoons of olive oil, does it all get used at once? Or are you using a tablespoon in this step, 2 tablespoons in that step? Sometimes recipe authors, we are writing the total amount of an ingredient. Sometimes it'll say separated or divided behind it. But then you want to look in the directions and instructions to see how that is split up, because it can be a little bit of a disaster if you use all 4 tablespoons of that olive oil at one time when really you only need to use half of it at one step and the other half in another step. So be aware of that. So case in point is just double checking, reading through your recipes to make sure that it is organized in a way that makes sense to you. It's okay to rewrite these recipes. I have come across plenty myself that it just wasn't organized to my taste, whether it was how the ingredients were listed, what the directions said, did it make sense to me? So I've written it down and put it in a way that makes sense to me. I made sure that the ingredients are all listed. Sometimes that happens too. Ingredients are missed either in the list or they're missed in the directions. And you're like, what am I supposed to do with this? So just rereading everything, making sure that everything is clear for you, that you're getting everything that you need ahead of time to set yourself up for an easier day in the kitchen. And this is especially important for those of you who are new to the kitchen. It is so important. Prior planning prevents poor performance, prevents frustrations, and hopefully produces a better result because you knew a little bit what to expect before you got in the kitchen and got started. So I hope that's helpful to y'all. Best of luck. If you need additional help, please drop a comment below and hit subscribe for more.